but from a cost-benefit analysis, it may be a foolish risk, because you're putting in $500,000 to buy a couple of years more of insurance. You may be better off just letting the policy lapse and minimizing your losses depending upon what else you put into the policy.
And you also run into a limit with how much you can actually pay in premiums
Right.
compared to the face value of the policy over the life.
And I also have 2 policies from your firm, and they're very good because they don't mature until age 98. That's an unsolicited endorsement, I guess.
That's what I'm talking about.
They mature at age 98 or 99, and so I'm not going to have this problem with your particular policies, but I do with policies from some other major underwriter.
I know.
But for those that Wasim sold.
One of the things that we offer, and
You had a question too. We get it or not yet? Wasim had a question.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about, you said you want to cash in your mom's life insurance.
Yes.
But isn't there like a lot of penalties and fines you have to pay?
No, beyond a certain point, there's no surrender charge. All insurance companies have a surrender charge schedule.
Usually 10 years.
So it varies company to company.
Well, would you have to pay income tax?
No, well, probably I could if I have a gain.
If you had a gain.
Yes, but I will either break even or have a small loss. But you are correct about the income tax.
to counteract this from actually happening, I know our company does this. I think most companies do now. They offer a no lapse guarantee.
Yes.
And it's just a way to front load the policy.
Yes.
It's all actuarial.
But you are paying a premium, or paying,
Yeah,
you are paying more for that.
It's just
no
paying
lapse.
more up front.
Correct.
So that ideally, based on actuarial assumptions, this doesn't happen.
Correct. So it's really important that you learn some of the basic principles of actuarial mathematics so that you're not blindsided and you're aware of some of these insurance company policy risks.
Now that's the problem that you created for the exam, as I remember, right? The mathematical.
I did? Oh, okay, if you say so. Okay. Question, yes?
So, would the ideal thing to do with this type of insurance would be to cash out at 80 and then put it into an annuity?
I could have cashed out at 80 or just cashed out and dumped the money into the stock market. But the peak about 80, yes, I probably should have done that. So I'm not so smart, so I shouldn't be here speaking. Because I've made my share of goofs. But I didn't know. We kept thinking that interest rates would increase and I wouldn't have this problem. So I made a bad bet.
Well,
so
it's,
to
I mean, it's a
speak.
function of interest rates, but it's also, as you get older, the actual cost of
The actual
insurance
cost
itself
be-
just goes up.
Of course, because the probability of death goes up.
So it's really two things working against us: the low
Exactly,
rate and your
exactly. It's mortality and interest rate sensitivity, and those are the twin devils, so to speak.
Excellent.
Okay? Now, Joseph Belf. Joseph Belf writes the Joseph Belf newsletter. Joseph Belf is to insurance what Ralph Nader was to the Corvair. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that Ralph Nader did.
Better explain what a Corvair is.
Anyone know about the
Explain
Corvair?
Ralph Nader is number 2.
Anyone know about Ralph Nader? I'm dating myself, right? No, he wrote, General Chevrolet came out with a Corvair, and in the 1960s he wrote his famous book, Unsafe at Any Speed, because people would buy a Corvair, they'd be driving down the road and the wheels would fall off and there were lots of accidents and many deaths, and so he wrote a book blasting Chevrolet for manufacturing this death car, so to speak. And of course, a lot of what he was a muckraker, and a lot of what he did has triggered some of the auto safety legislation. Well, Joseph Belf is an academic. He's a professor of insurance, I believe, Indiana University. He is well published. He's written a lot of books on insurance, and he writes a newsletter. And for those of you who are doing estate planning, I strongly recommend that you sign up for the Joseph Belk newsletter on insurance, because in December 2000, he wrote an article about the sales practices that people are using to sell universal and variable life, and he predicted the current problem today. He predicted this problem because he said a lot of people who are selling these more sophisticated policies, the variable life, the universal life, are promising high rates of return, 8, 10, 12%, that are not sustainable and that won't be sustained, and therefore a lot of these policies will just fail, period. So he predicted this, and of course everyone said, oh, that's old Joe talking, we'll pay no attention to him, but he was really right on the money. So his newsletter is really a great source of information for understanding life insurance products and the quality of life insurance companies, because he goes through all the ratings. He has an annual rating feature. Now, there are some major life companies. Your company is one of them. There's Mass Mutual. There's Prudential. If Mickey Rooney is advertising life insurance late at night on TV, you think I'm going to buy Mickey Rooney life insurance? I mean, he was a good actor, but I'm not going to buy anything that Mickey Rooney endorses, and certainly not life insurance. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to the ratings companies and check out the quality of these companies, aren't you? And so that's what Joseph Belk does in his newsletter, and I highly recommend it. Have you ever seen it? It was my own insurance agent put me onto this newsletter years ago, and I've been a loyal subscriber for many years. All right, let's talk about the insurance contract. We know that the owner owns and controls the policy. The beneficiary receives the proceeds. Do we have any probate under California law? The proceeds pass by virtue of contract. So if my Aunt Millie leaves me or makes me the beneficiary of a $500,000 policy, forget about the estate tax problem. Maybe she retained all the incidents of ownership. Maybe the policy is included in her gross estate, but she dies. I get a check from the insurance company. It's tax-free. Is there any probate? It doesn't pass under her will. It passes by operation of law, of contract law, right? That's it. I get the money. I can do with it as I please. How much insurance? This is always controversial. What do you need for family protection? If you're making $50,000 a year and you want to provide your family with an income of $50,000 a year, and long-term treasury bill rate is 5%, just for an example, and if you have $1 million policy, that will provide your family with an income of $50,000 a year, correct? A lot of people are tragically underinsured, but you have to go through the math. You have to figure out what the debts will be. You want to pay off the mortgage on the house. So this really takes a good insurance agent to sit down with you and explain what your needs are. And a lot of people say, I'm just not going to do it. I just don't want to be bothered. And that's what happened to my friend. He spent the money on flying lessons, but he wasn't about to spend anything on life insurance. Policy analysis, again, the right policy for the right purpose. There's a purpose for term, there's a purpose for whole life. You've got to look at the investment and actuarial assumptions. You have to look at the quality of the issuer, and that's why I like the Belk newsletter. And there are also consultants, insurance consultants, to whom you can go for an independent review of your policies. They are in effect consulting actuaries. They don't sell insurance, they simply review policies for a fee, and you can have your portfolio of policies reviewed. Sometimes it may be a very good idea. Okay? Key income tax concepts. Generally, no gross income to a beneficiary who receives the proceeds by reason of the insured's death. Couple of exceptions. You wanted me to mention the Bank of America janitors. I didn't even know about the Bank of America janitors until you raised this. I was totally surprised. See, I did my homework. This was passed in 2006. There's a special provision, it's new section 101J, that basically says if you're an employer and you take out insurance on the life of one of your employees, the death benefit will not be excludable. It will be subject to income tax, although there is a myriad of exclusions and limitations. Did this really arise because of Bank of America?
Yes. Bank of America was taking insurance on their janitors and other employees.
And not giving the proceeds to the widows or the children?
No, it was simply going to the bank.
Really?
They thought it was a good investment because it was coming in on a tax-free basis upon the death of the employees.
So you're telling me that every janitor who worked for Bank of America would qualify for an insurance physical, and Bank of America would own the contract and be the beneficiary?
No. They said we will have a group policy.
A group policy.
And the group
Okay.
policy will cover all of the employees.
Interesting.
And by the way, you'll have $50,000 of term insurance that you can name for your own beneficiary. And by the way, we also have another $100,000 of insurance over and above that that comes to us to replace you as an employee if something happens to you.
You know, that's a great, why didn't KPMG do that?
They did it for the Bank of America.
Question.
They were the ones who advised.
Yes.
My question is just comparing the issue with the janitors with what you mentioned earlier, your project insurance, when you insured your
Yes.
contractor's life. Where's the line there when you actually?
The 101J refers to employees, and my contractor, it was not an employee, it was an independent contractor, and I doubt that 101J would apply to that situation, but I haven't studied it. But it's an interesting question, and so if you're going to remodel your house, look at 101J.
On the other hand, if you're a contractor and you're remodeling someone's house, be aware of the fact that the owner is very often very mad at you.
Yes.
In terms of the way your house has been constructed. So maybe as a contractor, you don't want that owner owning life insurance on your house.
Have you noticed these mysterious poisonings that always seem to occur at the end of a big remodel job, and people are suspicious about the high death rate? I don't know. Premiums are generally not deductible. You know that if you directly or indirectly have an interest in the policy. Interest on debt is generally not deductible, but there are exceptions under Section 264, and so that's why I say generally. But these are the key income tax concepts. For estate tax, we know that if the decedent's death benefit is includable in his estate, if it's received by his executor, or if the decedent has retained any incident of ownership, the proceeds, the death benefit, is included in the decedent's gross estate. So if I take out a policy, say on my nephew's say my nephew takes out a policy on my life. I take out the policy on my life, I give it to my nephew, I make my nephew the beneficiary, he pays the premiums, maybe I make him a gift up front of some cash to get the policy going, but the policy is in my nephew's name, he's the owner, he's the beneficiary, but I retain the right to borrow against the policy. I retain the right, if I get mad at my nephew, to make my niece the beneficiary. If I retain an incident of ownership, then when I die, that death benefit is includable in my gross estate, right? So that's fairly simple. The major litigation is over incidents of ownership and a very broad definition. Payments to beneficiaries, lump sum death benefits are common, but the beneficiary can elect to receive an annuity, and to the extent there's an interest element, the beneficiary will have to pay the income tax on the interest element. This is all a function of elections under the policy. And I want to get to some interesting examples of why we might use an insurance trust. And then Jack is going to tell me why I'm crazy, because we've already talked about special needs and a few things. So here's an example. Father dies, $500,000 insurance policy on his life. The beneficiary is his 20-year-old daughter. Assume there's no estate tax issue. Why? We now have a $5 million exclusion, don't we? And so let's assume that the total gross estate is under $5 million, including the death benefit, so we don't care about the estate tax. So the daughter gets the money outright, and does she use it the way her father would have wanted her to use the money? What, pardon?
Was her father a drug-using nudist?
No. Her father was a blue-suited banker who went to work every day in a suit and a tie, and if he lived in New York, he wore a hat. So she gets the money, she becomes a hippie, she drops out, the money is quickly gone. What do? Do you have any controls? No, the insurance company has no control. The daughter gets a check for $500,000. This would be my brother, except for the drug use, but he would just blow it. Pardon?
Aside from getting pregnant?
No, unless you believe in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with Danny DeVito that was some years ago. But no. I have 3 nieces too, but I don't think I'm so worried about them. This is an issue for the father. How many agree that this would be an issue for the father if this were your daughter? It would be an issue with me. I don't have any children, so I never worry about this. Okay, here's another one. F has a $700,000 insurance policy. The beneficiary is his 30-year-old married daughter. No estate tax, because let's assume the total estate is under $5 million. The daughter gets the money, but her husband, of questionable virtue, wants it for another one of his worthless business schemes. Does this happen?
Yes.
How many think this is realistic? I think this is realistic because I had a client like this, and he was appalled that when a family member died, the daughter got the insurance benefits. The husband was just a complete goof, and basically ran the money down to nothing. This is a very unfortunate situation. Would we not agree? I think the men would agree, the women would agree. Yes, this is not what we want to see, but it does happen. Here's another one. F dies intestate. He leaves a divorced wife, a single adult daughter from a prior marriage, a younger special needs brother. The brother has a medical problem. The beneficiary of the $1.5 million life insurance policy is his estate, but he died intestate without a will. F had planned to provide for his elderly parents, but he never got around to doing it. He had planned to provide something for his brother, but he never got around to doing it. So under this scenario, who gets the insurance money? Well, since F died without a will, does he have a will?
No.
How many say he has a will? He died intestate, but he does have a will, because when you die without a will, the state of California makes a will for you in the probate code, right? Intestate succession. In other words, the state of California says you can either make a will and leave the money to family members or charity or friends or whoever you want to leave the money to, but if you die without a will, the legislature has crafted a plan for you. You may not like it, but it's too bad, you're dead, and so you can't say anything about it, can you? So in this case, the will goes to the daughter under the probate code as the only surviving child, even though F wanted to leave some money to wanted to provide for the elderly parents, and maybe the brother who was ill. Everything goes to the adult daughter. We would call this estate planning gone wrong, or not well done at all. Here we have children, including one with special needs. Might be a medical problem. The parents realize that other children may or may not be able to take care of their special needs sibling. The parents want to provide for the child who is ill. So what do the parents do? They have life insurance money. Who are they going to leave the life insurance money to? Probably not to the child who is ill or who may have special needs, because that child won't be able to handle money. Can they trust the older siblings to take care of the sibling who is unwell? Maybe yes, maybe no. Some families might take care of a sibling who is ill. In some families, you might have a horror situation where the siblings who are well do nothing for the sibling who is unwell. Any horror stories from the audience about estate planning and?
The story you shared about the disreputable husband really reminds me of a play called The Raisin in the Sun. I don't know if anybody read that.
No.
But in any case, the family had gotten a life insurance policy from the father's death, and they planned to use it to buy a house. They were actually a black family and wanted to buy a house in a nicer white neighborhood.
Yes.
But then the husband took the money and did exactly what the husband in your example said, and it was just such a scary story.
No, I am not aware of that play, but that does not surprise me.
Very famous.
Yes.
Break.
Break time? Okay.
But one other thing, for extra credit, how many of you found the 3 typos in Richard's slide presentation?
Oh, I didn't even see. I shouldn't proofread my own work. I hope you're going to tell me about them later.
I assure you that there are no 3 typos, because Richard is a perfection.
I use spell check. All right, we'll take a break and then we'll wrap up.
Before spell check, he never had any errors. He still does.
Pause the recording. How do you do that? I guess.